tonight we had Dynamite, episode 6, but it wasn't just episode 6. It was the go-home show for Full Gear this coming Saturday. And it certainly was a show. I'm not sure how hyped it got me for Full Gear. How about you, Jeff?
I guess if you haven't been following the storylines, it kind of fell flat. But otherwise, I thought for anybody that has watched the first 5 weeks, it was a perfect go-home show. And I was thinking about it during the show. One thing you and I have complained about forever is the fact that we see the matches leading up so much in three-way matches and trios matches and tag team matches and then one-on-one matches that by the time we get to the pay-per-view, we have no interest in actually seeing the match. I'm thinking back, is there anybody other than Pac, as JR was corrected, and Adam Page that we've seen on AEW TV, on Dynamite at all?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Nobody has, we've always complained about how, when it's Randy Orton versus John Cena, we see them in tag matches and triple threat matches, and, they're always constantly battling each other, so by the time they get to their pay-per-view match, we don't care anymore because we've seen it for 4 straight weeks.
Okay.
Other than Pac and Page, I don't think we've seen any of these pairings that are going to be on the pay-per-view at all on AEW TV. I mean, we saw Lucha Brothers versus SCU, but they were smart by adding the triple threat and putting Private Party in there. Other than that...
We also saw a tag match that featured Omega versus
Moxley. But that was, yeah, I guess you're right. And we did just see Riho versus that chick with a mustache.
Sakamura.
What the hell was that? Did nobody tell her that was a bad idea?
Or it's Emi Sakura.
The mustache was a little much. I don't care if she thinks she's Freddie Mercury. The mustache was a little much.
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually enjoyed the show. I thought the show did well. I thought Cody's promo was on point and right up there with every other promo that we've seen. Last week we were going off on the Moxley promo, and then the week before we were going off on the Kenny Omega promo, or not Kenny, but Jericho, and I thought Cody's was on par with both of those.
Oh yeah, Cody's promo was awesome. And he said during the promo that the big announcement that he made for the show was that if he if he loses, he will never challenge for the AEW World Championship again.
Which is the worst possible foreshadowing. I hate when they do those stipulations.
Well, so that means that he's either going to win the championship, which I think he should, being the fact that Chris Jericho is going to be in one of the main events of Wrestle Kingdom, and there is no partnership between the two promotions.
Right.
And they're not going to get any hype from it. So why have your champion on that show? Especially when Nick Jackson came out this week and said there is never going to be a partnership between NJPW and AEW.
Right.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So, I mean, and for those of you who didn't see it, he basically said that, like Jeff and I have said for the last year, that NJPW never valued the Young Bucks enough, and Nick came out and confirmed it, and said that basically because of that, and because of the fact that they didn't do the deal when they could have on January 5th of last year, that is just not going to happen.
Well, Kenny came out in an interview not too long ago and pretty much said the same thing.
Okay, I missed the Kenny one.
There was not that there wouldn't be a partnership, but somebody asked him if he was going to be a part of Wrestle Kingdom, and he basically, in his own Kennyisms, said absolutely not. It'll never happen, and I don't want to be.
Right.
So I mean,
he actually said that he's done. He can't imagine going back to NJPW because he's done everything that there is to do in NJPW, which is true.
Basically,
the one thing that he could do in NJPW would be to have, an actual feud against Kota Ibushi. Other than that, there really
it's not worth it.
And does he really want to do that? I mean, do they really want to have, a feud between him and his golden lover? Probably not.
No, and I mean, but to me, that was when he had that interview, and I want to say it was like a month and a half ago or something like that. When he had that interview, to me, that was him closing the door on NJPW.
He did for sure, but I didn't necessarily know that was closing the partnership idea, but and NJPW, honestly, I think their Ring of Honor partnership has basically fizzled away, but I think that really the smart move for them, considering that Impact is now on Access along with them, is for an Access and NJPW partnership, that they can get past the whole, what the former owners of Impact did with
Omega,
with Okada and Tanahashi when they were
there. I think they can. I mean, it's a completely different ownership, so we'll see where that goes. But as far as this show goes, there was
completely different regimes for both promotions, actually.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. Sorry, but as far as this show, kind of trying to keep it back on track here, I actually really enjoyed this show.
Your turn to back on track?
Well, you said you were going to be distracted, so it was my turn to lead the charge. So buckle up, everybody. This is going to be entertaining.
A train wreck, or both.
Well, every show we do is a train wreck, dude. That's what makes it. That's what makes it so good. Our show is the absolute highest order of ADD. It is all over the map. But back to this show. There were two things that kind of really stuck out to me. One, the fact that we didn't get the feuds that are going to be blown off at AEW really driven in, or at Full Gear really ground. They had promo with a one-off match here and there that was a tag. I mean, we saw Moxley every week, but it wasn't Moxley versus Omega wrestling every week. So what they're going to do at the pay-per-view is going to be something I've never seen before. It didn't get driven down our throat.
You have to wait. How we see the weapons every week, but they've always found a way to stop those weapons from actually coming in. When we actually see them, interact with the barbed wire bat and the barbed wire broom, it'll really be for the first time.
Yeah, exactly. And they did a good job with Pac and Page too, of keeping those two separated. And tonight I thought the Pac run-in was the perfect way to fire that up again and make it like a bigger blood feud than it really is, because he came in and ended his chance at children and then cost him the match on top of it. So I just felt like everything we've seen since Double or Nothing and everything we've seen since they have debuted on AEW TV has been a home run. I mean, there's always going to be weak spots in an episodic television show. There's going to be some down spots. There's going to be some shows that you don't really mesh with. But all in all, the 6 shows that we've seen have been outstanding. And just outstanding storytelling. They've gotten the right guys, the right amount of heat and spotlight. I feel like they are firing on all cylinders, and everything they're doing is a home run at this point.
I'm just going to say this because it's on the top of my head right now, and he was in the main event tonight. But, you and I have lamented the fact that Sammy Guevara came in as the best ever, instead of coming in as his Mr. Money'sworth character. But I think the new moniker where they call him the Spanish God, is awesome.
Yeah, I like that too.
Over in a big way.
And I like the fact that JR is still so out of touch. Him calling the Uranagi the rock bottom, which, I mean, it technically is to a point, except it's not. There's a different release point, there's a different setup, but for him to call the Uranagi a rock bottom, and then to have Tony Schiavone agree with, really just dated those two.
Well, yeah, I mean, he called it the rock bottom, or he said it's like a rock bottom, and Tony said, yeah, it is, and Excalibur said, yeah, kind of.
But
the rock bottom is technically a version of the Uranagi.
Right. It's just he flattens out, he lays out, the Rock goes all the way to the mat, and there's a different setup to it. But the Uranagi, yeah, it is essentially a rock bottom, just not a full-fledged rock bottom. The Rock took basically like a diamond cutter or a RKO or anyone that does a cutter for a finisher. They took a basic move and made it their own, and that's what the Rock did with the Uranagi.
Yeah, and then what Booker T did with the bookend.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they were essentially the same move, but they made it their own. They took the Uranagi and made it their own.
Right.
So, and I love the fact that in the beginning of the match, JR got corrected with where he called him Pac, and then he goes, "Oh wait, no, Pac." I guess he's Pac now. So I guess we're back. He is now Pac again.
Yeah, he's been Pac for 6 weeks. He now says Pac it all out. Remember?
Or is he Pac everywhere else?
Yeah, he's Pac everywhere.
I'm so confused by all this. It's just, can we just get along?
I really think that the reason why he's not called Pac is because they don't want to confuse it with X-Pac.
That's possible for the U.S. audience.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. Okay, that does make sense. As far as the matches go, again, I felt like we're getting an NJPW style show with an American twist. I thought all the matches were done phenomenally. I love the time that these guys get to tell stories. That tag match with Private Party and Dark Order was just done to perfection. They had so much time to tell their story, and even that first match with Brett, Trent, and Pac, whatever he's called, was they had so much time to actually tell a story that you don't normally see. They kept the show to 4 or 5 matches again, which is the perfect layout for that. It just lends to better storytelling and better overall wrestling, and it's something I really, really like.
Yeah, it is. It's really good stuff, and I you and I talked about the first episode of NXT when it debuted on USA, and
right.
And I'm just going to compare the two because it's they are the Wednesday Night War shows, but that first episode, it ended with that huge brawl that you and I both thought was just like completely manufactured, inorganic, all that stuff, right?
Right.
But this one ends with that huge brawl where everything felt completely organic because it was all things that tied into each other that's been happening over the last 6 weeks. Like you said, if you've been paying attention, everything that happened in that brawl at the end of the show made sense.
Except for one thing. Let me
finish first.
Okay,
and also, it was foreshadowed by the opening of the show with Cody's promo, where I don't know if you caught this, Jeff, and you being the old school fan that you are and that I am. Cody said, when the Inner Circle finally meets the Elite, it will be a match beyond.
Yep.
So.
Yep, I caught that.
And what has the match beyond always been?
After the bell.
What?
Are you the War Games?
War Games.
Yeah.
So, to me, that battle royal at the end kind of like set the sides. What we're going to see at Full Gear is going to set up. Is going to set things up even more. And we're not going to get War Games in AEW because it's owned by WWE and the War Chambers in MLW. What I think we might get is some kind of a tag team, some kind of a team version of Bunkhouse Stampede.
I would like to see if they're going to do it. Yeah, I guess you're right. Bunkhouse Stampede. That would be the best with it. But is MJF now officially a member of the Elite?
It sure seems like it, doesn't it? I mean, he's not been officially announced as a member, so I wouldn't say he's officially a member, but he might be like. Remember how the Hart Foundation had like Brian Pillman? He was never actually officially announced as a member of the Hart Foundation.
But he was a member of the Hart. But he was the member of the Hart Foundation.
Right.
I mean, people just related it. Yeah, that would make sense. The one thing about that brawl at the end that didn't make any sense to me was Santana Ortiz attacking Moxley.
Oh, right.
That was the one, and that's possible. But we're trying to get over this feud between Omega and Moxley, and obviously Omega's the face in this. But for them to come out and attack Moxley, I would say so.
Omega's the face? How?
How is he not? He's faced by the fact that he's
huge heel promo when Moxley went down.
God damn, that's true. And this promo tonight was a little bit heelish as well.
Yeah.
But he's still a member of the Elite, and the Elite are just all faces at this point.
Well, they are, but they've also had some friction between them and between the Bucks and Omega. I mean, they kind of settled it last week a little bit with their 6-man tag, but really there's been a lot of abrasion between those guys.
The one thing I have really liked about this is that, and you're gonna frown at this, and some other people probably, but we didn't get a Young Bucks match this week. We didn't. I think there was another week where we didn't have a Young Bucks match. They made their presence known, but they didn't have a match. There's been a couple weeks with no Kenny Omega match. I don't think Cody, outside of that first episode, has wrestled on AEW Dynamite, has he?
Was he?
I'm trying to.
If he was in a tag match or not, but I don't think he was. No, I think it's been all like vignettes and promos,
right?
And like that 4-man altercation, which was, I think, was that last week where he went in the stands after.
Where he took MJF's scarf and punched through the window?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was last week. It might have been 2 weeks ago. I don't know. But they, no, it was 2 weeks ago. Because last week was the Tony Schiavone thing that you couldn't stand. That's right. And the contract signing and the jumping of dust in the back and everything. So, but I think they've done such an amazing job of not shoving their top talent down our throats. They're not on every single week. The feuds continue by the way that they do it, but Santana and Ortiz have only been in 2 matches on Dynamite TV. Jericho has been in 3 out of 6 weeks, 3 or 4 out of 6 weeks. Cody has been in 1 out of 6 weeks. The Bucks have been in 3 out of 6 weeks. Paige has been in 4 out of 6 weeks. They're doing a great job of not jamming all these guys down our throats to the point where.
And that's what you and I wanted. I mean, we talked when it was clear that John Hennigan was going to be available. We were talking about like guys like him, and I think there was a couple other guys that we talked about where you were like, I don't want them to add anybody because they've already got a roster. The roster they have now, we're already going to be like. They're already going to be like running where they have too many people to show every week, and we talked about that. Like, well, maybe they're not going to show them every week. Maybe we're going to get a more spaced out version of a show where we're not going to get sick of these guys, and that's what they've done so far.
They've done a great job of it. They've done a great job of keeping the whatever feuds for the pay-per-view they have are fresh. They're setting up for future pay-per-views. And they're not jamming these guys down our throats to the point where we're sick of them because we see them every week. They've just done such a great job of storytelling and spreading things out and making us want to show up every week because we don't know if we're going to get our favorites every week.
No. I mean, they've done a decent job of announcing what matches are coming up, but like tonight, the only reason I know what match was coming up is because you told me on Monday night is that we had that tag team main event. Otherwise, I had no idea what was announced for tonight's show. And
that was because of the Raw commercial, the commercial on Raw, and I just happened to have Raw on at the time. Yeah. I don't know. I just think
you and I have busy personal lives, and we don't have time to like pay attention to everything that's being announced on the internet and stuff.
Exactly.
And that's kind of how I want it. I mean, having like a big match announced in order to hype the show is great, but I would rather, but seeing a show build organically is also a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. And
I
one thing,
I love that crowd, that sign in the crowd tonight because it's absolutely true. At least for the first 6 weeks of their television show, for their pay-per-views, for their free per-views they had on BR Live, AEW, where wrestling matters.
Right.
Because
I'm not mad at the Raw. I'm not mad at the the fact that they're keeping a win-loss record. I'm not, I like the fact that they're running a show with only 5 matches in a 2-hour show. That's about perfect. You're giving all 5 matches time to breathe, time to be what they should be, and let these guys tell their stories. And at the same time, you're still getting your vignettes in, and you're, they're not relying on backstage promos. They're not relying on so much comedy. I mean, yeah, they have it every now and then. They have the stupid little things here and there, but there are only 3 There was the interview with Cody, or the promo with Cody. There was the vignette with Omega and Moxley. And then probably the greatest vignette I've ever seen with the Jericho in the Inner Circle. I text you a couple times.
No, there wasn't. You again missed Brandy.
Oh no, you're right. I did see Brandy. See Brandy. So there were 4, but the Brandy thing was so quick and sweet. It's just like, okay, we're done.
See,
and I don't know what's going on with the beauty and the brain, or the brain and the brawn and all that crap. Her drinking that blood, and I just don't get that. It's confusing me, but I absolutely loved I felt like the Jericho vignette. And the Sammy Guevara was the one that was quickly, and I mean, he's been one of my favorites for a long time, but he is quickly becoming my favorite. He is great in the ring. He's great on the mic. And the way that he was pumping up Jericho, talking about how he's a father figure, and then he came out and said, yeah, Jericho's in the prime of his career. He's only 48. He's the youngest AEW champion of all time. I thought that was hysterical and brilliant. I thought the fact that they kept cutting to Jack Hager and he just stood there silently was brilliant. That whole vignette I just absolutely loved.
Yeah, it was great. And I also loved when Chris Jericho said something like, "You burden of waking up every day and knowing how great you are." Of course. Guys, I'm still trying to get Jeff added, but it's just trying to get Skype to work again because my Skype live and his Skype says that I'm not live. So I don't understand. Well, I'm gonna try to add him even though it says he's not live. We'll see what happens. I'm having Jeff try to call me because, well, let me call him. Yeah, this is not working.
Skype.
I hate it. Are you there? Oh my god, I did it again.
Are you finally there? Something in the background.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh my god, what in the blue hell happened?
Skype, I'm going to say this one more time. I've got a gun. It's loaded. I'm going to kill you again.
Can you come kill mine too?
Not tonight.
Well, not tonight. I'm just saying, maybe another time.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Where were we? How much did you hear of my little rant?
We might want to switch. We might want to do that whole unplanned or planned but unplanned murder of mutual women thing too. One of these days. So.
No, I'm good with that. Are you talking like a throw mama from the train type scenario?
Sure.
All right, sounds good.
Alright.
Sorry, Mel.
What else did we have to cover on Dynamite before we talk about the pay-per-view?
I don't know. What the hell was I ranting about? I was ranting about something. Did you even catch any of it, or did it just die?
No, I did, and I had a response to it, and now I can't remember what it was you were ranting about or what my response to it was. So. Was
it about Jericho's promo? And the fact that Jack Hagar was brilliant in that promo by not saying a single word, and they kept going back to him?
It was, that's right. And then I heard all that, and then I said, and the other great thing about it was Jericho said something like, "You don't know what a burden it is to wake up every morning and think to yourself, wow, am I great?"
Right. Such a great vignette, and there was so much going on in it. There was Sammy and his comedy, and I still think the line of the night was easily his. Jericho is only 48 years old. He's the youngest AEW champion ever.
Right.
That got a pop from the crowd. I was in my living room laughing. I thought that was a great line. And every single time they cut to Hagar, and he's just standing there with his arms crossed.
Yeah,
it was just a brilliant.
My wife actually was home for once and watching Dynamite with me. She's like, "Isn't he the only AEW World Champion?" And yeah, that was the joke, hon. That was the joke.
That Hagar, just every time they went back to him and he was just standing there, was such brilliant. And they're doing such a great job they're doing a better job with getting him over in 5 weeks than WWE did in 7 years?
Something like that.
He is just he's an amazing character, and he hasn't said a single word yet.
Yeah,
I don't know.
When he was the most over in WWE, it was his catchphrase that was over and his manager that was over, not him. Tell me you're still there.
I'm here, yeah.
All right.
I was just listening. For once, I shut my mouth and I was listening to you.
And this is another thing that, if you haven't been following AEW over the last 5 weeks before this episode, you don't realize the immense brilliance of this promo was in that it was completely mocking the Cody one from, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, right. It really was. It really, really was. Yeah, such a great promo, and I thought the match to end the night was great as well. Yeah. I thought Sammy again outperformed everybody in the match. I mean, I want to see him in a one-on-one pay-per-view style match with Omega. I think that would be brilliant. I also like the fact
you talked about Jake Hagar getting over. Sammy and Hagar together. So, but Jake Hagar getting over, and I think that with one elbow shot, now everybody wants to see Hagar versus Omega too.
Right. I mean, there's so much greatness coming out of this that they've got storylines built up for the future just out of this last 5 weeks. I know you're probably not, but I'm actually really excited to see a Joey Janela Shawn Spears feud. I think that's a perfect spot for both of them. And I think they can both come out better on the other hand.
You're selling me short because I thought Spears, was in a perfect type of match tonight for him, and I think that Janelle was a perfect feud for him. I think he's going back to the beginning like I wanted him to. So,
right.
So no, I don't disagree with you. I do think it's a perfect feud for him. I thought before the high profile ones were too big.
I love his personality. I love because he's had this same like no nonsense personality since we first saw him at Double or Nothing, where it's just been had this like killer attitude, and there's something about him just sitting on the stage with no music playing in the dark that I get excited every time I see him because it's so different than anything we've ever seen before. And the fact that Brandon Cutler mocked his 10 was fantastic. That was the highest spot for Brandon Cutler.
It was, but let's also talk about the intelligence of the AEW crowd. We didn't see it in this match necessarily, but we've seen it in other Shawn Spears matches where they will do the 10 thing when the wrestler's getting counted out, but then they won't do it for the rest of the show. And that's
right.
That's what was killing me in WWE or NXT is that once he started that 10 gimmick, the crowd, every time there was a count, the crowd would chant 10 all the time. Now
right.
They only do it to mock Shawn Spears in AEW.
And that makes sense. And it's done better. I can see where you'd get annoyed with that because there's been other catchphrases that have, like the what catchphrase that went on for a decade. That one was one that just annoyed me every time I heard it. Oh, no, I lost my train of thought. Another thing that stuck out to me is last week, remember how hard Kenny Omega worked to get that Terminator chant going? That Terminator clap? I love the fact that the second he entered the ring, the crowd started the Terminator clap. Just to show him, hey, we're smarter than the guys last week.
You talked about the what chant, and I just want to say that, on the right side of the pond, when it first started out, it was like weekly segments of different types rather than three guys sitting around talking about wrestling. It was like weekly segments, and one of those segments was called Room 101 with Joey Shinobi, and I was on there a couple of times. One of the times I was on there, the idea of the show was that you would bring in three things in pro wrestling, and if you could convince Joey that they belong in Room 101, then in theory you would never see them again. Okay, so one of mine was the what chant. And this is one episode, so like one of them was the what chant, a second one was Rey Mysterio, and a third one was the World Heavyweight Championship, the big gold belt World Heavyweight Championship. And within I think like 3 months of me being on that show, Joey, he rarely ever allowed somebody to get all three of them in. So he basically argued like against the what chant, and he allowed me to put the world title in there and Rey Mysterio in there. And within like 2 or 3 months of me putting those guys in Room 101, Rey Mysterio was gone from WWE, and the World Championship had been retired. So it was pretty awesome.
All right, that sounds good. I get it.
So me and Joey have magical powers, is what I'm telling you.
Fair enough. Could you have ended the what chant 7 years before it finally did?
Has it even ended now?
Chant. I haven't heard it in a long time. It used to be in every promotion. And I don't watch WWE anymore, so, very rarely. And if I did, it's usually while we're doing the show and the volume's down just to kind of see what's going on. Now that I have no wall here and I can actually do that. But I haven't heard it in a very long time. So I don't know if it's still going on or not, but it's not in other promotions, and it used to be everywhere.
Fair enough. All right, so... I think one thing that we didn't really we touched on briefly, but we didn't really mention was how strong that women's tag team match was tonight.
With the exception of Freddie Mercury, that mustache, I had no qualms with it. I really like the Portuguese chick. I don't know what it is about her, but I really, really like her, and I like that. What is she Havoc? What is her Hagar?
Hader.
What's the?
Yeah.
Hater. Okay. I like those two a lot. And of course, I'm always a Riho fan. Like, Riho is just amazing to me. I love everything about Riho. The fact that she's 98 pounds and is able to wrestle the way that she does. And I like everything about her. And I really like those two newbies. I don't know what to think about the mustache. That really kind of turned me off on the whole thing.
Well, I don't think we're supposed to care about them.
What are you yawning for in the middle of a sentence?
We were kind of like, well, she's obviously going to lose this match because she's kind of the one nobody knows about. And she did lose that first match we saw her in, and now she's won a couple, and it looks like she might be setting up to be the challenger at
She is. It was announced already. It was announced before the show. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you haven't seen the card yet?
No, I looked at the card a little bit ago, but and it said... but the card I looked at said that was a rumored match, not that it was an official match.
All right. Well, it's good that we are, now's a good time to, I guess, move on to that so we can do our predictions and everything. But I like it. There's only six matches on the card. They're not trying to jam 15 matches in a card. They're only doing 6. They've got one pre-match or one pre-show match, and that's B. Priestley versus Britt Baker, which... Honestly, as much as we are annoyed with Britt Baker, I think that would have been a good pay-per-view quality blow-off, but I'm still okay with it being on the pre-show.
Yeah, I would have liked to see that actually open the show, honestly. But you're right. I mean, that being on the pre-show is still a good way to get people to tune into the show and all that stuff. Right.
Then when you look at the actual matches, and I don't know what the order is going to be. I mean, the only one that I know for sure, they're doing a good job of keeping the AEW World Championship as a main event. And then they got Moxley Omega as the non-sanctioned match after the show, the lights out match. So we got Mox versus Omega and Jericho versus Cody. Those are going to be the two headliners. Then we got the Bucks versus Santana and Ortiz. We knew that. Page versus Pac. We knew that. Pac, whatever. Riho versus Sakura. And then SoCal Uncensored, Lucha Brothers, and Private Party. So it's looking like a really, really good card. And the more I see Private Party, the more I like these guys. I didn't think after their last match I could like them anymore, but I did after tonight.
Yeah, that was really fun, and but I'm really puzzled about Dark Order. They came in as a big shots, and they won that spot to have the bye in the tag team title tournament, but then they lose in the semis, and now they lose this match too. It's like, are they going to be a big deal, or are they not going to be a big deal? And so far,
I don't know.
Not really going to be a big deal.
It's weird, but the other thing that I thought was weird, and I hate to bring it back to this match, what was with the hell's the name? The other guy, not Uno, but the other guy. I can't think of his name.
It's Grayson.
Grayson, yeah, Stu Grayson. It looked like he had these, and maybe it was just the color scheme, but underneath his little tight thing wrap, whatever he does, trying to look like a caveman, underneath it he's got regular tights. And for some reason, maybe it was just the color scheme, but it looked like he had half tights on and the breast was his ass hanging out the entire match.
Yeah.
What the hell was that? Is it his just color scheme, or what the hell is that?
I have no idea. I think they really need to rethink that whole thing.
I'm watching it, and that's all I could concentrate on every time he was in the ring. I'm like, seriously, dude, your ass is hanging out.
If he hadn't just signed with Impact, I would say that this is the perfect opportunity for them to bring in like a heavy hitter like Ace Romero. That would be a part to make Dark Order more feared. But those guys that come out with him are, my wife today was like, man, that's creepy. And yeah, it's creepy, but there's nothing to really intimidate you about the Dark Order at this point. And I think they need somebody to come in and help, some big dude to come in there to make them more intimidating. Because yeah, Uno is big, but is he really intimidating, or does he just look like a fat guy in a mask?
He looks like a fat guy in a mask that sits on people. Sits on. He's doing his best Dalton Castle impersonation.
In that one sense, I suppose, yes.
in that one tiny little segment, that's where I was going.
Right. Yeah, to see him try to preen like a peacock, I think would be very disturbing.
Oh God, I want to see it now. That's all I want to see. AEW, make it happen. He needs Supreme like a pre.
What's weird to me about the card, and I know you talked about this, only got 6 matches, so they're not trying to cram things in there. But it's weird to me that Jake Hager doesn't have a match here. I mean, he set up. There was one set up between him and Darby Allin, and one set up between him and Dustin Rhodes. So for him to not be on there at all seems kind of weird to me.
That was the Jericho, one.
But for him not to have a match seems weird to me.
That was the one glaring omission from this card that I felt. I mean, I hate when, and that's one of the big problems with most pay-per-views is they have 25 damn matches, and because of it, we never get to see a real match because they're all rushed. They're all 6-7 minute matches, and it's nice that there's certain people missing, but at the same point, how much have they built up Darby Allin and Jimmy Havoc over the last 3-4 months for them to not be anywhere near this card, even on the pre-show, is a glaring omission. Right. Especially when Darby Allin just had a world title match 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and you could also say the same thing for MJF, but I think MJF will come out with Cody, so I don't think that's going to be a big deal.
Well, the thing with MJF is he's only had one match in 6 weeks. He just keeps coming out with Cody.
But he's still been out there as a prominent figure,
Yeah, he's pretty much in every Cody segment. And he's, giving his back to Cody and all that. But technically, he's only really had one match. He doesn't have a feud. We don't know for sure if he's with the Elite or not. And pretty much everybody else on the Inner Circle is busy. Well, no, Guevara's not. He's not on here either.
Who's that? Guevara?
Guevara's not on this card either.
No, he's not.
So, yeah, I mean, it's nice that they're going to pay-per-views where they're not jamming everybody down our throats. But at the same time, you wonder where some of these guys going. Guevara has been featured on literally every show. The only show that he didn't...
Go ahead.
The only show that he wasn't on was that one where they were up in the stands.
Yeah.
And the Cody thing happened.
True. What I was going to say is, the other thing is we talked about last week that they had to think about that at all tonight. And when I look at these cards, I see nothing about judges, so I don't know if they're going with that judge thing or if they just decided to drop it.
That was one of the worst explained angles I've ever heard in my life. They never explained.
It wasn't explained at all. They just mentioned
you didn't even. We watched the show and they just kind of passingly mentioned it, and I had to explain to you what it was because I happened to see it on Twitter earlier in the week.
Right.
But it's been a non-factor, and I mentioned on Twitter last week, and I'm sticking by it. They are pumping up this real fight feel type thing where wins and losses matter. Well, if wins and losses matter, you don't want to tie. So why don't we go like every other legit sport and have judges? UFC does, boxing does, Bellator does. They all have judges that judge every match. And if it goes the full 3 rounds or the full 12 rounds or 8 rounds or whatever it is, it goes to a judge's decision.
Can I call you a dumbass for a second?
Sure.
Because we just argued about 2 days ago about what the most boring sport is on the planet. I said it was football followed by hockey. You said it was baseball. Hockey and football are the only 2 major sports that can end in a tie. Baseball doesn't. Basketball doesn't. But
basketball... Yeah, you're right. Basketball doesn't.
Football does, and hockey does all the time.
So
So you're arguing that major sports don't end in ties, and your 2 favorite ones do.
Major fighting sports.
That's not what you said, though. You said major sports.
When was the last time you saw 2 people in the middle of the ring beating the hell out of each other for 12 months or 12 rounds, and at the end of it, they just go, "Oh, okay, you both win."
It happens all the time in boxing too.
No, it doesn't.
Sure, it does. You have 3 judges' cards. One could have it like 114, 112. The other for one guy. One have it 114, 112 for the other guy, and then the middle judge has it 113, 113. So it ends in a draw.
I hate you.
You hate me because I'm right? Okay.
Yes, dick.
You've seen that happen a lot, haven't you? I
have. Yeah, I have too. So we need 4 judges.
And then 2 of them could have it as a tie.
Oh, shut up. Stop making logic. Anyway, back to the show. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I'm really liking the way that AEW is presenting itself, the way that they're running people out there and not jamming people down our throats. They're not jamming angles down our throats. They're letting things kind of develop organically. We knew the Pac Page match had some heat behind it because of the last 2 encounters, but they've really kept those 2 apart this entire 5 weeks. Well, 4 weeks after the first match, until tonight. They just cut promos on each other, and then tonight Pac comes out and costs Page a win. I thought it was done, and then disappeared. He just ran away. He was like, "All right, I'm done," and just ran away. I felt like the build to some of these matches has been just perfect.
And the other thing about that I love so much about AEW, and it was announced. Cody said he wanted to make a product that was not PG, and
right.
and AEW, AEW came out and said they had a deal with TNT where it was going to be a TV-14 show. And what's one thing Pac mentioned this week is that Page used the vulgarity last week when he was talking about the cowboy shit, and then this week Cody calls Jericho a dick. And it's like. It's so much more mature when you hear these people talking like you would in real life to somebody,
Well, and they've done it. They've done it every week. Jericho did it in his second week promo after the Inner Circle came out. You had I can't remember who it was. Moxley did it in his promo last week. Yeah. There's just it was kind of funny to watch Jim Ross go cowboy bleep today. It's like, really, guy, come on. We realize you're 95 years old and from the PG era, but come on. Just say the damn word. But it's been every week, and it's not just language. They've pushed the envelope with some of the violence as well.
Yeah. And
which
like you just pointed out, they also showed the ass of Grayson today, so there you go.
Which was undeniable. It was terrible. I mean, it was a good match. I like Private Party, but seriously, every time Grayson was in the ring, I just kept going, I can't look at that. Is that an ass crack? No, I can't look. But the entire time he was out there. You want
to get hard watching it, right?
Well, yeah, but that's a whole nother issue.
You have so many. It's hard to keep track.
That is for our Saturday night show.
We have a Saturday show?
Shut up.
No, so let's and actually you said there was 6 matches on the card, but you were wrong. There's only 5.
No, there's 6. Well, yeah, because Moxley Omega is unsanctioned after the lights go out.
Exactly, so it doesn't count.
It's dumb.
It does not count towards your win, so therefore it's not a match.
It counts towards the money that is coming out of my pocket.
Did you decide to buy it?
No, yeah, well, of course, because we got to talk about it on Monday, so I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, because my wife told me today that I am buying it, so.
Oh, you are? Okay, well, come on, maybe it's Saturday night or is it Sunday?
It's Saturday night, yeah.
Ooh.
And I believe Imp and I will be going live right afterwards to talk about it. So.
Well, if my other plans fall through, I may be at your house Saturday night. I was actually planning on watching on the replay.
Wow, you have plans?
Yeah. Maybe. I could.
Does it have anything to do with the text that you sent me earlier?
Well, yeah, that's the reason why I might not have plans.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
So, but yeah, so, I mean, as far as this goes, I think SoCal holds titles. I think Riho keeps the title. I think Paige gets the tiebreaker. I think the Bucks. Well, no, I think Santana and Ortiz are going to win that one. I think Cody wins the championship and Mox beats Omega.
The only thing I'm going to disagree with you there is I think Omega beats Mox.
You think so? Okay.
But I don't think it matters.
And that,
it doesn't matter towards
their
win-loss records. But I think that, it is Mox. Mox is going to beat Omega because then they can continue the whole Omega's on a downslide thing.
Yeah, and that's the reason, because ultimately, I mean, that match is a coin flip. But I think to continue Omega's little storyline that he's going through on the back burner, I think he has to lose this match.
Yeah.
Because that will really turn him on the downside. I think Cody wins because he really kind of painted himself in a corner with this "I'll never challenge for another AEW title." Come on, Cody. You're in your mid-30s. You're the president of the company. You're never leaving. We all know at some point you're going to challenge for it again. And I just get the feeling they're not going to be like WWE with Sheamus and Cesaro have been best friends forever, and that's why they're such a great tag team type shit.
No, but he could always win like a wild card battle royal or something like that to get a title as well, down the road. But
he took himself out of the running. He can never challenge again, regardless of what he wins.
It's pro wrestling. There's always a loophole.
I just think he's got to win this because he painted himself in the corner, and that kind of annoys me. And I think, but then again, too, I mean, if we're building for something bigger, and the whole power struggle thing with the Inner Circle and the Elite, is this a good time to take the belt off Jericho?
I do, because that way you can trade it back and forth between the two factions. And plus, I think like I said, I think Jericho going into Wrestle Kingdom should not be holding the AEW World Championship at that point.
I agree with that, but at the same time, if you look at the Elite, you've got Cody, you've got the Bucks, you got Page and Omega, MJF, who's probably the least established star of the bunch, and then on the other side, you've got Jericho and PNP, which is, they're the upper echelon. But unless you've known PNP's work over the last couple of years, really Jericho's the only top guy there. Hagar has his fans, but they're still building him. Guevara is just outstanding, and he's been a focal point of every single episode in major matches, but he's still kind of an up-and-coming guy. They really need to have something to build the Elite up, and without Jericho as the champ, they lose a lot of steam.
Do they?
What else do they have? I mean, who's going to get behind Santana? You can't build an upper faction, especially a heel faction, on two guys going after the tag title.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is Jericho losing the championship really take away that much steam from them? He's still Jericho.
It depends on where they put him. If he's still in the championship picture and maybe challenges Cody again, while giving these other guys time to improve and maybe getting Hagar into that main event picture, then I'm okay with it. But right now, I just don't think that they have enough pull and steam in the company to hold up to the Elite. The more I think about it, the more I think Jericho has to win this weekend.
No, see, I think Jericho does stay in the title picture even if he loses, because that will be his only loss in the company. Nobody else will have a record capable of challenging Cody for the championship over Jericho. So Jericho will get that rematch.
If he continues his win streak and he gets the rematch, and even if they do the whole I get my contracted rematch stint that you don't really do anymore anywhere else, but even if they went that route and at the next pay-per-view and they spend the next 2 months building to it, then Cody can lose. But if this is a one and done thing and Jericho's not going to get the shot, in order to have a successful heel faction, you need to have a successful champion, and not just a intercontinental or a mid card or a women's champion or a tag team. It has to be the major guy. And I don't think anybody else in this stable is built up to that yet, to where they can replace Jericho as that top guy. I think Guevara could get there, but it's going to take time. I think Hagar is probably the closest to there, but there too, that's going to take some time. They need to build him up as more of a threat than they have already. I mean, he's already a huge threat, but we haven't seen him in the ring yet. We haven't seen him do a match.
But how much more passion is going to be involved if the Inner Circle lose that World Championship, and that they're going to be even more bloodthirsty than they have been so far to get it back? They're
gonna have to go straight up NWO.
Also, like you mentioned earlier, we know Cody's young, we know he's in the prime of his career, and he's one of the guys that runs the company, and he's one of the biggest stars in the world. He's going to be in that world title picture again. So he has to win this match. Yeah, literally, because he painted himself into a corner. Right. He's going to have to win this match somehow, but at the same time, taking that steam away from the Inner Circle, I think, is a bad idea, because they don't have a big enough name outside of Jericho to continue the steam that they have. So he wins the world title, and then 5 days later on Dynamite, he loses it back.
Okay, that works. I'm okay with that. I'm actually okay with that. I think that would be okay. Because, if Cody hadn't come out and said that one statement, I would have been like, oh, okay, all right, this is the way it should work. But the fact that Cody came out and he's a young guy who's in charge of the company, he's one of the top executives in the company, he's not going anywhere, and he's one of the best in the world. Of course he's going to get title shots down the line. For him to say, I'll never challenge again, come on. You literally just gave us the outcome of the championship match.
I thought that he was going to go the other way with it. I thought he was going to say if he loses the match, then he was going to give up his vice presidency.
That would have been great. Okay, that I would have gotten behind, because they could have done a Flair Bischoff angle with that, where Jericho wins the vice presidency, and they could have gone a whole different route with that, which I think would have been brilliant. Could you imagine Jericho in charge?
Well, he wouldn't necessarily be in charge, but he'd be one of the 4 guys in charge, and the other 3 guys would be the elite guys. So it would create a lot of dissension in the vice presidents.
It would that. Oh my God, that would have been a phenomenal storyline. That would have been fantastic. That would have been one where I've been like, okay, Jericho, you got to win this match.
And maybe that's where they're going. Maybe Jericho does win this match, and then Cody, but he does it in such an underhanded way, and then Cody's like, I need to get that title shot, and then Jericho's like, okay, you know what, I'll let you go back on your word, but if I beat you this time, I get your vice presidency.
God, I love that story. AEW, that needs to happen too. We have 2 things now that need to happen, and I forgot what the first one was. I'm tired, man. I haven't gotten any sleep in like 3 days.
And I think the tag title match is going to be great. I think the Bucks versus PNP is going to be great. I think the world title match is going to be great. I think Omega versus Moxley is going to be great. But I'm still looking forward the most to Pac versus Page.
I am too, especially after that match they had on Dynamite.
Right.
I saw their one that they had in Europe, in England, and I thought it was good. But after seeing that match they had on Dynamite, I am so excited for that one. And I'm right there with you. I think that's the match that I'm the most looking forward to. I want to see Moxley Omega. I want to see Jericho Cody. I want to see the Bucks and PNP, and of course that triple threat match. Because I really want to see, I really, really want to see Private Party versus Lucha Brothers again. They had such a great match together. Right. But I think I'm right there with you. I think Pac versus Page, that's the match I need to see the most.
Definitely. So
that's all.
So guys, Full Gear again coming up this Saturday. We just ran down the card for our predictions. We basically got the same predictions that going in. I mean, we've given you reasons why each guy has to win the world title match, and I'm gonna stick with Cody winning it. But I would not be surprised if Jericho leaves with the title either.
Unfortunately, I got to stick with Cody because he painted himself into a corner, and he just needs to. At this point, he needs that win.
Right. But
if that storyline, like you talked about, develops, okay, I'm all right with that. I really am. I just think that for him to say that I'll never, ever challenge for the AEW championship again really kind of foreshadowed the end of this match. It almost as badly as the Lucha Brothers and SCU stuff was.
I agree with you, but imagine if we're wrong.
Oh God, that would be, because of course, in 4 or 5 years or whatever, he might take a step back for a few years, but he's going to challenge again at some point, regardless of what the outcome is.
Right.
But it would be nice.
Some kind of a weird stipulation where he finally gets his shot at the title again.
Maybe.
But I'm
hopefully
perfectly fine with him being on the back burner because you got the young up and coming guys. You got Omega. You got Omega and you got Moxley. I mean, there's plenty of guys there that can be world champion. Cody is such a big star, but he doesn't have to be the champion of that promotion anytime soon.
No, and a guy that I would really, really, because he has really been the workhorse over the last 5 weeks and 5-6 weeks, and every match he goes out and does is just amazing. His match against Cody, his match against Page, his matches, his tag team matches, even tonight is Sammy Guevara. This is a guy who you need to keep your eyes on because he is a future superstar. And we have been saying that since his NWA 70 appearance. Yep. But he just gets better and better in his character, in his wrestling, his selling, his offense. Everything just gets better and better every time I see this guy. He is the future of the company. And it's weird that I'm saying that right now because we've got so many other guys who we feel are the future of the company, especially people like Jay White and Page. But I think Guevara has a chance to be better than all of them. I really, truly do.
I was sitting here thinking like before you even mentioned Page that a year from now, Full Gear 2, if we're watching Hangman Page defend the world title against Sammy Guevara, I'd be very happy.
Oh, I would be too. And I think that's something that could easily happen. I think they're both on the upswing, and I truly do believe everything I've seen from Guevara over the last year. This man is the future of the company. He's athletic. He's charismatic. He's selling matches beyond his years. He's great on the mic when he gets a chance to be. And I just think he is so talented. One of the few people, like my love for Marty Scurll. I like Guevara more than I've ever liked Marty Scurll.
That's crazy.
Right?
That's really crazy. Since I mentioned Page, I'm just going to say that there's only one guy that I would rather see in a heavyweight world title match for Page to defend against, and he's not even in the company right now. So.
Who's that?
Violence at its finest.
Oh my God!
You and I talked about it's what the year, but we talked about how Shane Taylor versus Page reminds us so much of Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles.
Right, it really does. That's another guy I would love to see get some run, but that's a story for another day.
Yeah. And it is. Not watching Guevara right now. So.
Right. Anything else on your plate for this one?
No, I think that's it. I mean, like I said, guys, watch Full Gear, and then Imp and I will be back. We'll be with you right after Full Gear goes off the air on Saturday to talk about it. And if Jeff's over here, I'm sure he'll join in the conversation as well.
Oh, hell yeah! And otherwise, you guys got us on Monday nights talking about it too. So, but make sure our Patreon, had a lot of love this week from the shout outs we did. Imp, I love your show, man. Keep it up. Kathy, Ryan and Cliff, you guys are awesome. Thanks for all the support you've given us. But check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Kingdom of Honor. We are going to be getting more stuff up there, hopefully tomorrow night. But there is going to be some more content coming while we settle into this 2-show a week thing. And of course, Twitter, YouTube. Let's go there first. YouTube.com/Kingdom of Honor. Go there, subscribe to the channel, like the videos. The more you guys do, the quicker we can actually get to performing live on YouTube. That is something that can happen down the line, but we need the subscribers and the likes to do it. Also, our Twitter. I'm at Regi Co-op. He's at Zanman. We do all kinds of things. I'm a lot more active than Zanman is, but we do a lot of stuff on Twitter. You can find us easily by using hashtag KOH for Kingdom of Honor or hashtag DAD for Dynamite After Dark. It is on every post that I do. So, follow us on all that stuff. Like it, subscribe it, share it with your friends, and we will love you forever.
Yeah, and I'm not as active on Twitter, but when I do say something, it's obviously profound. So.
yeah, it is.
And make sure you also stay tuned to all the other LOP radio shows. Tomorrow night, as Jeff mentioned, is Instant LOP Radio Adventure. On Friday is The Right Side of the Pond. Saturday, again, will be the Aftershock for AEW Full Gear. On Monday, we'll be with you for Kingdom of Honor. And you can catch all of the LOP radio shows also on Boards of Pain YouTube channel. They're uploaded basically the next day after they go on. So, without any further ado, that's all we've got. We'll try to do better next time. Until then,
you said I'd do.
What?
You said I'd do.
This is Shane saying long days. And Jeff saying
goodbye.
G1 Climax 27. Goodbye and good night.